welcome to week 8. We did it, week 8, beginning intermediate. For those of you guys who have been following along for all 8 weeks, really awesome, really awesome. And I know that you've been building up that carbon dioxide threshold to be able to perform these 6 of these longer breath retentions, right, with alongside these movements, right? For those of you who are novices and you're coming in for the first time, please know that if you have experience with breath work, wonderful, and you can easily, without affecting your biomechanics, get to those 6-beat breath retentions in conjunction with the movement, wonderful. For those of you who have not gradually adapted to being able to perform those longer breath holds with the movement, stick to your 8-second exhalation pattern. The fundamental breath within the breathography method is an 8-second engaged exhalation pattern. So we want to make sure to focus on the 8-second engaged exhalation pattern. That's 2 beats on a blow, 2 beats on a hiss, 2 beats on a soft shish, 2 beats on a loud shish, loosening your ab ribbon. Okay, that is the fundamental activity of performing that breath in tandem with every single functional movement that you do perform, okay? So you really want to focus on that if you're new. Now, if you have experience with breath work, you can add those 2-beat, those 4-beat, those 6-beat breath retentions at the conclusion of your 8-second exhale. So we are getting pretty advanced here. We're definitely performing some hypoxic breathing in conjunction with these movements. As always, if there's ever any feelings of dizziness or your biomechanics are suffering, then you know that you're not quite ready for that breath hold. And instead, you should be focusing on that 8-second exhalation pattern and what's happening between your belly button, your midsection, and your ab ribbon, because I want you to have a strong sense of connection to your core while you're performing every single one of these movements. Okay, this is week 8. Let's go. We're going to start with some attentional control. You know how much I love working the brain in the warm-up. So we're going to start with some brain work. I want you to have a TheraBand. You should have a tether point today for the workout. I want a medium and also a light band at the tether point, because we're going to be doing some activities there. If you don't have one for today, if you are new, then you can just hold on to a TheraBand. That's totally fine, and we can just kind of improvise for the first day. But for anyone who has not come on to HYPOXiX.studio, come and join the live classes, and then you will know how to perform your breathography, and also what all this equipment is, and how to set it all up, and how to perform your breathography so you can integrate it and use it in tandem with every single one of your functional movement patterns. Okay, so let's get going. Let's begin. I'm going to start my metronome because, as you know, our maximum breath rate for today is a breath of 6 breaths per minute. That is your 8-second exhale and your 2-second inhalation. Now, we do start every single functional movement with our ZipUp activation, which happens on a hiss exhale, pelvic floor, navel, ribs, shoulders, head. So for the newbies in the house, let's go back to the wall and let's practice that a couple of times on a hiss exhalation pattern. You're going to hear me say at the top of every single set of exercise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pelvic floor, navel, ribs, shoulders, head. Look at how different this looks from this. I'm braced, I'm ready to go for my engaged exhalation and my engaged inhalation, and that is so crucial. If you walk away from this workout with anything, it's how to perform your engaged exhalation and your engaged inhalation. Now, on HYPOXiX.studio, we do have a 14-day free trial, and you can learn what the fundamentals are, so then you can apply this to the workout. Hold on to a light TheraBand. I like putting it in a circle, and here we're simply stepping side to side. We're going out to our side lunge as our dynamic warm-up. As you pull the band apart, metronome, 60 beats per minute. Now you know why. Here, before we even start with the breath pattern, let's just get some blood flowing through the body. So we're stepping to the side, you're keeping that ab ribbon loose around the waist. If you don't have an ab ribbon yet, just tie something that's kind of rigid around your waist so you can feel the difference between the ribbon being loose and the ribbon being tight. It's going to be a little tight at the beginning of your engaged during the engaged inhale and the beginning of the engaged exhale. Then it becomes loose by the conclusion of your 8-second exhalation pattern, okay? Right now it's loose because I want you to connect to your deep transversus abdominis as you step side to side in your lunge. Can you hold it? The contraction of the pelvic floor is really going to help you stay nice and connected to those deep abdominals as you step side to side, okay? Okay, blood is flowing. So let's press ourselves back against the wall. Just simply put the band overhead so the pecs are open. I like performing this one against the wall because it helps remind you that your pecs should not be working too hard on that engaged exhalation. It's really easy for the pecs to depress and pull the shoulders off the wall when we go shh. too much activity in the superficial abdominals. The rectus abdominis is crunching forward. Our shoulders are pulling off the wall. We want to keep our shoulders nice and open, press back against the wall, and instead loosen the ribbon and press our ribs back against the wall. That is how you perform an engaged exhale. Okay, so we're gonna go hiss, activation, pelvic floor, navel, ribs, shoulders, head on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, visit the fundamentals for those of you who need some review on this. Double engaged inhale. Why do I call it an engaged inhale? Because you're keeping your zip up activation muscles engaged and you're inhaling 2 sniffs of air through the nostrils. 1, 2, and then you're performing an 8-second exhalation pattern, 2 beats on a blow, 2 beats on a hiss, 2 beats on a soft shish, 2 beats on a loud shish. Draining the air from the lungs. Look at my obliques. Look at how loose my ab ribbon is. So I've drained my air, and one of the reasons that we drain the air from the lungs is so that when we start adding those breath retentions on, we're more likely to become intermittently hypoxic, right? In between our functional movements. So, and a lot of research has shown this, if we hold our breath with air in our lungs, we aren't as likely for the oxygen to dip intermittently versus if we exhale all of the air out, which is really increasing that activity of the transversus abdominis, internal obliques, all those muscles that help to stabilize the spine and just feel really good around the, around the SI joint and the lumbar spine. It also has the physiological and metabolic effect of dropping our blood oxygen right around the level it drops to when we are performing traditional altitude training, right? And so, and there's a lot of talk about this in the industry right now as well. I became obsessed about it when I was writing my graduate paper because of Xavier Morans, the French physiologist who has done 30 years of research in this area. And now, of course, with Wim Hof and Patrick McCowan and, the Buteyko method and all that, there are a lot of people who are on the same page that, intermittent dropping of blood oxygen, there are certain physiological and metabolic effects, and it's really cool. So let's practice our zip-up activation, engaged inhale, and 8-second exhalation pattern. And we're just going to work cyclically. Here we go. Zip-up, inhale. Pelvic floor, navel, ribs, shoulders, head. Inhale, inhale, blow for 2 seconds. Hiss, softly shishing, loudly shishing. Loosen that ribbon around the waist, double engaged inhale. 1, 2, blow. Loosen the ribbon on the loud shish, double engaged inhale. 1, 2. You're pressing your ribs as hard as you can back against the wall. Hiss, softly shishing. Press it again, loud shish. Double engaged inhale. Keep the back of the neck nice and long. Blow. One more. Press those ribs back, but don't let the shoulders come off the wall. Nice work. So your abs should already be on fire, your deep abs. Now we're going to use that breath cyclically in conjunction with our attentional control. I start every single workout with levels of attentional control. That is brain patterns. We're working on cognition immediately. Hypoxic training has also been shown to enhance cognition, while dance choreography also does as well. I was a Broadway dancer, yes, so I bring an element of that in here, but I call this attentional control because it's more like the foot agility that you see in a soccer practice versus dance choreography, but because I give you patterns, and dance choreography has also been shown to not only slow down Alzheimer's symptoms, but cognitive reversal. That, I remember reading that study and I was like, really? We can reverse the effects? I mean, amazing. Ballroom dancing, elderly. There's a study. I'll put it on the Facebook page. It's so inspiring, and so I always start the workouts with these patterns. Grab those 8s. Last exercise. Taking that wall, and the reason I love ending on the wall, either this exercise or like a rowing exercise, is because it's so great for posture. So you walk out of here feeling so lifted and just such amazing posture, right? So that right glute should be burning from doing those foot scrunches and the single leg balance. So now you're going to lift that left heel, driving the shoulders back, driving the ribs back, but not necessarily driving the low back back. You want to stay in neutral. Ribs down, shoulders back. Zip up, inhale. Hiss, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1. Inhale, 2. And curl, 1, 2, 3, and hiss. Loose with the hands, soft shish, loud shish. Hold for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1. This is posture 2. Blow. Loosen the ab ribbon on the loud shish. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, and a 1. Holy moly. Okay, let me turn off that driving metronome for just a moment here so I can talk to you guys. Awesome, 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 amazing, amazing work. You guys made it. You guys made it all the way to week 8. And for those of you who are joining me for the first time, yay, I'm so glad you're here. Please go to HYPOXiX.studio, check out the 14-day free trial because you can just learn all of these fundamentals from the beginning for free. ZipUp activation. What is a ZipUp activation? What is your pelvic floor? How to contract your pelvic floor? Going through the fundamentals and the pillars of the breathography breath cycle, which are the ZipUp activation, the engaged inhalation, the engaged exhalation, and then moving on from those primary components, breath retentions, right? And even released inhalations, right? So it's so exciting. I see so much progress in those of you who have gone through this entire 8-week cycle. It's so exciting. We're going all the way back to week 1 next week, where we go back to no breath retentions whatsoever and really working on finding that 8-second exhalation in conjunction with our movements. We'll start from the top again. So we're working a little bit lower intensity when we go back to week 1 of our 8-week breath cycle. One of the reasons I decided to work in this 8-week format is because it's so imperative that we do find strategic and very intentional times over the course of the year to work lower intensity, okay? If we're gonna push ourselves to that like 80% of our maximum or 90% of our maximum and achieve those adaptations, well, it's important to dose it appropriately over the course of the week and also over the course of the year, right? And remember, when we're adding those extended exhalations and even some of those breath retentions, that does add a level of intensity to our training, right? Temporarily, we're lowering our blood pH. We are lowering our blood oxygen. Very temporary, 80%, 85%, just like we do in altitude training. And also, there are other things happening in our bodies, such as an increase in hydrogen ions. For those of you who are on here and I know you're nerds like me, increased recruitment of type 2 muscle fibers and like all these cool things that we're seeing that, that with intermittent hypoxic training, one of the reasons why we do see these really interesting, these really cool adaptations in the body, but know that these adaptations are happening because they are a stressor. And in order to maintain them as positive stressors, we need to make sure to have times during the week and also over the course of the year where we have less stress on our body, right? And so right now in my online studio, I'm working in 8-week cycles where we progressively work. Week 1, pretty darn low intensity. We're spending like a strong 3-4 weeks in that, in that lower intensity endurance phase where we're just really focusing on finding our core and using our slowed breath pattern in conjunction with the movements. And then over the course of the 8-week cycle, we're progressively adding in those longer breath retentions, moving from a beginning intermediate level all the way up to an advanced level. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, I do recommend that you come in and you start at a beginning intermediate level, kind of like this, where we're working at like moderate levels of attentional control. That's that agility movement, those choreographed patterns that I use for cognition enhancement at the beginning of the workout, and the moderate level with the strength, a moderate level with the breathing, and then you move up to the intermediate, and then all the way up to the advanced, where we're getting pretty darn intense with the breath work in conjunction with the functional movements. But again, what is your priority? Your priority is where is your core and where are your biomechanics? Where's the quality of your movement before you even start worrying about adding the breathography? I call it breathography because it's, it's choreographed breathing in order for you to achieve certain core results, positive adaptations, and also to intermittently achieve intermittent hypoxic breathing while you're working out. But that is really the icing on the cake to achieve even those extra special adaptations. What's first is finding your engaged inhale and your engaged exhale in conjunction with your functional movement patterns that are being performed at a very high level of quality, right? Quality, so that you're reinforcing good motor control, good motor patterns, motor learning, all those things so that you're reinforcing those patterns. Then when you're ready and you want to add in a 2-beat breath retention, a 4-beat breath retention, a 6, maybe even a 10 or a 12, when you aren't so overwhelmed in the moment that it reduces the quality of your functional movements, then you know that you're ready, right? And everyone's carbon dioxide threshold adapts at a different time. Most people, it's between 7 and 14 days. Traditionally, free divers who use those breath holding tables, it's usually about 1, 2, 3 weeks. But everyone is a little different, and so you want to move slowly and you want to move smartly, as always. So please join me, HYPOXiX.studio, 14-day free trial. Come on in. I'll walk you through it. We have a Facebook page and everything. You know where to find me on Instagram and all of these places. As you guys know, I just started teaching this online a little less than a year ago, but I've been training for almost 20 years. So I'm so excited to now be doing a little bit of this online, but we're still at a very small scale. So please reach out to me. I'll answer all questions. I live to teach, so ask whenever you want to. And I hope to connect with you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming.